Hi, I'm Professor Zubair Jahangir and today we'll be doing the valuation rules under GST. This is considered to be a little difficult and actually is a little hyped as well. It's very simple and let me assure you, after this video, you would know this chapter thoroughly and find it to be very simple. Here I'll be covering every single rule and also covering it in great detail along with the sums. So let's begin. Firstly, what is value of supply and why is it important? Now we have to understand that GST is levied on the value of goods. So whatever will be the value, on that amount the percentage of GST will be levied. So let's say if the value of supply is, let's say, rupees 1 lakh is 1 lakh, okay, the value of supply. The GST rate is, let's say the GST rate is 18%. So I can find out the amount of GST payable in rupee terms. So I can understand that value of supply is very important to understand to find out what is GST payable. Now, why is value of supply important? Because in every single transaction you need to compute what is the value, and on that value the GST rate will be levied. Now there are some additions, deletions, some kind of adjustments need to be made to this value before you levy this rate. All of this will be dependent on the sections given in the act as well as the rules. So just a simple question, why do we have to find out the value of supply? Because the tax is actually levied on the value of goods. Now this entire topic of value of supply is derived from your section 15, which talks about value of supply. Section 15 subsection 1 states that the value of supply is the transaction value. Simply meaning, if you go to buy in a store a laptop worth rupees 1 lakh and you end up paying 1 lakh to the dealer, the value of supply will be 1 lakh rupees, because that is what is the transaction value. For in the transaction you have ended up paying that amount. You and the dealer were unrelated, so the supplier and recipient are not related, and price is the sole consideration. You ended up paying only that, nothing else. So we can say that that is the value of supply. This is given in your section 15 subsection 1. Now when you go to read section 15 subsection 4, it stated that whenever section 15 could not be applied because maybe parties might be related or the price was not the sole consideration, then you cannot levy the transaction value, because in the transaction the parties were related or price was not the sole consideration. So we need to value it in a different manner. Section 15 subsection 4 says that if you cannot trust the transaction value or you cannot compute it as per section 15 subsection 1, then follow the valuation rules. So section 15 subsection 4 really gives path to the valuation rules. So section 15 subsection 4 says that provides that where the value of supplies cannot be determined by section 15 subsection 1, that is the transaction value could not be taken for any reason, in such cases the same shall be determined in the manner as may be prescribed, and in that manner they have given the rules. The rules are from rule 27 to 35 of the CGST rules 2017. So today we'll be seeing rule 27 to 35 of the CGST rules 2017. So this is the rules that we will be doing. This is updated and has all the amendments. Now firstly, the CGST rules rule 27 to 35 talks about the valuation rules. Now this is what we will be doing in the topic in great detail. Okay, it comes under chapter 4, that is determination of the value of supply. Now we'll be seeing each one. It starts from rule number 27, goes up till rule number 35. So let's begin. Firstly, rule number 27. Let's read the bare provision what is given in law. So this is exact provision of law. First I'll read it out in a simple manner where you will be able to understand, and then I will explain it. Firstly, rule number 27 is the first valuation rule. It says how do you compute, it gives you the situation here, value of supply of goods or services where consideration is not wholly money. So here the money is not the only consideration, you have given some other kind of benefit as well. That time we will have to see what is the manner in which you will compute the value. Because transaction value very clearly said you can take the transaction value that is between the buyer and the seller if they were unrelated and the price was the sole consideration. Sole means only consideration. Now in this case, what if the price is not the sole consideration? In that case you will apply your rule number 27. What does it say? That where the value of supply of goods and services is for consideration not wholly in money, the value of supply shall be the open market value, that is what is the market price of the goods. If the market price or the price prevalent in the market is not there, then what? Then you will have to find out the sum total of the consideration in terms of money, मतलब कितना पैसा दिया था, how much money was given, and such further amount equivalent to the money's worth. You have to find out the money value of that extra consideration as well. All of this I will be explaining. Right now I'm just reading in a manner which you may or may not understand. So first thing is you find out the open market value. What is the market value of the goods? If you can't find out the market value of the goods, then you will find out money कितना दिया था और money value of that additional consideration कितना था. What if that additional value also could not be computed? So in this case you will go to the point C, rule 27 sub rule C, which says if you could not determine as per A and B, then you will find of the like goods and services, what is the similar goods, what is the price of those, and that you will apply. If that also you could not find out the similar goods, since it might be a unique product, you couldn't find anything, A, B, C could not be applied. Okay, A, B and C could not be applied. In such case you will find out the sum total of the consideration in terms of money. तो एक कितना पैसा दिया वो कैलकुलेट करेंगे, और जो नॉन मनी टर्म्स में है उसके लिए हम लोग को रूल अप्लाई करना पड़ेगा. तो मनी टर्म्स ले लेंगे एंड फॉर दैट एक्स्ट्रा मनीज वर्थ जो था उसको हम लोग कॉस्ट रूल नंबर 30 अप्लाई कर सकते हैं और रूल नंबर 31. Rule number 31 is the cost method that find out what is the cost of that extra consideration and take the value as 110%. So cost plus 10% profit will be the value of the goods, and if that also cannot be done, then we will apply rule number 31, which is a residual value, or also called as a best judgment rule. Now this I have just read it the way it is. Now I'm going to explain it in a manner where you would perfectly know this rule. So let's see. सबसे पहले 4 पॉइंट है A, B, C, D. Okay. So the first one is saying कि अगर value of supply is not wholly in money, मतलब money भी दिया है और money's worth भी दिया है. Okay. In such case, okay, money's worth भी दिया है. In such case, find out the open market value of the goods. Then you don't go to compute this extra money value कितना था वो compute करने की जरूरत नहीं है. जो open market value है वही उसका price हो जाएगा. Let's take an example. So the first one, sometimes you go to buy mobile phones and you give a old mobile phone. ठीक है. तो यहाँ पे देखो, वेयर अ न्यू फोन इज सप्लाइड फॉर ₹20,000. मुझे एक नया फोन मिल रहा है 20,000 के लिए, विथ एन एक्सचेंज फॉर एन ओल्ड फोन. ठीक है, तो कभी कभार ये एक्सचेंज ऑफर्स होते हैं. तो मैंने ये ओल्ड फोन दिया और मुझे नया फोन कितने में मिला, ₹20,000 में. डू यू थिंक 20,000 द वैल्यू ऑफ सप्लाई? 20,000 में तो मिला, बट वो क्यों मिला? क्योंकि मैं ओल्ड फोन भी दे रहा था ना. तो 20,000 पे गवर्नमेंट विल से नहीं नहीं नहीं, योर वैल्यू ऑफ दिस फोन इज मच मोर देन 20,000 बिकॉज यू पे 20,000 प्लस यू गिव योर ओल्ड फोन ऑल्सो. So what is the value of supply? What is the rule number 27 say? That go as per the open market value first. So let's see if the open market value is available. If the price of the new phone without exchange is 24,000, so that means this is the open market value, is the market price of the goods without the exchange. So then do we go to compute this extra consideration? नहीं, सबसे पहले क्या बोलते हैं, immediately take the open market value if it is available. No need to find इसका extra consideration का value कितना है. So what is the value of supply of this phone? We will not take it as 20,000. We will say what is the open market value? It is 24,000. So the value of supply will be 24,000. I hope that is clear till here. That when you give money and money is worth, the very first thing in the rule says take the open market value and finish it off. Don't need to see anything else. Super simple. But what if the open market value is not available? Then you need to go down to the second part, where you will say sum of the consideration in terms of money and money's worth. So the second point says that I will have to find out कि उस बंदे को पैसा कितना मिला in terms of money, how much money he got, plus how the money terms of that extra consideration. ये जो extra consideration दिया, old phone, old printer, old कुछ भी, तो इसका मुझे monetary value निकालना पड़ेगा, and then I will say that is the value of supply. So let's understand this with the help of an example. So the second part is here. Let's say you went to buy a laptop and you got a laptop and you for a certain price, but you had to give your old printer. So let's see what is the scenario where a laptop is supplied for 40,000 rupees. तो मुझे कितने में मिल गया लैपटॉप? 40,000 rupees में लैपटॉप मिल गया. I became really happy. But I had to barter it. I had to also give in my, along with the barter of a printer that is manufactured by the recipient. The value of the printer is not known at the time of supply is 40,000 rupees, is 4,000 rupees. अब क्या हो गया, मेरे को 40,000 का लैपटॉप मिला, but I had to give a printer also in return. So I gave 40,000 plus this printer. Maybe I might be manufacturing this printer. The recipient must be manufacturing this printer. So what did the recipient do? He gave money's worth. कितना दिया उसने? 40,000 rupees. And he also gave a printer. प्रिंटर का ओपन मार्केट वैल्यू नहीं पता है, तो इसकी वैल्यू अलग से कंप्यूट करनी पड़ेगी. सी, बट द ओपन मार्केट वैल्यू ऑफ द लैपटॉप इज नॉट नोन. देन वील हैव टू फाइंड आउट दैट प्रिंटर का प्राइस कितना है. द वैल्यू ऑफ द प्रिंटर निकाला वो लोग ने एट द टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई वॉज 4,000 रुपीज. तो इसका ओपन मार्केट वैल्यू नहीं पता था, गुड्स का, लैपटॉप का ओपन मार्केट वैल्यू नहीं पता था. लेट्स से ओपन मार्केट वैल्यू of the laptop not known, of the laptop was not known. In this case we'll have to take money plus ये जो money is worth है, printer कितने का था? 4,000. So what is the value of supply here? Value of supply, can we take 40,000? No, open market value था नहीं. So in this case we'll say 40,000 plus money value of the additional consideration, that is 4,000. So it will be 44,000 is the value of supply. Okay, this is what it is given. So super simple. If first rule 27 में क्या बोलता है, go as per open market value. ओपन मार्केट वैल्यू नहीं है तो फिर ये मनीज वर्थ का मनी टर्म्स में वैल्यू निकालना पड़ेगा और फिर मनी प्लस मनीज वर्थ कितना था. व्हाट इफ दैट इज ऑल्सो नॉट अवेलेबल, मनीज वर्थ नहीं निकाल पाए प्रिंटर का, देन वील से बॉस ये सिमिलर गुड्स कितने में मिलते हैं. व्हाट इज द प्राइस ऑफ सिमिलर गुड्स, वील टेक दैट इनटू कंसिडरेशन. इफ सिमिलर गुड्स आर ऑल्सो नॉट अवेलेबल, लेट्स से इट्स अ यूनिक प्रोडक्ट, open market value not available, additional value consideration not available, other goods, similar goods also not available, in that case government will say you first apply rule 30, which is called as the cost method. When we do rule number 30, you will come to know what it is. And if rule number 30 cannot be applied, then go to rule number 31. Rule 30 क्या बोलता है? Okay, in short I'll tell you कि find out the cost of the goods. So it is value of that additional consideration. वो जो money is worth का extra consideration, वो printer का value कैसे ढूंढेंगे हम लोग? We will do cost जो भी है ना उसका 110% of cost. For example, if the printer is for 1 lakh rupees, so what is the 110% of the cost? If the cost of the printer is 1 lakh rupees, the 110% of 1 lakh is 1,10,000. So हम लोग सीधा 110% ले लेंगे बिकॉज हम लोग बिलीव करेंगे कि ये जो मनी इज वर्थ है इसका कॉस्ट है जो भी रहेगा प्लस 10% हम लोग नोशनल प्रॉफिट मान लेते, नोशनल प्रॉफिट, एंड वी से दैट द वैल्यू ऑफ दिस मनी इज वर्थ इज कॉस्ट प्लस प्रॉफिट होगा ही ना. तो प्रॉफिट का एडहॉक रेट दे दिया है, स्टैंडर्ड रेट दे दिया है, 10% ले लो. सो ऑलवेज इन रूल नंबर 30 वॉट एवर इज द कॉस्ट उस पर प्लस 10% मारो, तुम्हें उसका वैल्यू मिल जाएगा. दैट इज योर रूल नंबर 30. एंड 31 इज द बेस्ट जजमेंट असेसमेंट, और वी कुड से इज द रेसिड्यूअल मेथड. दैट इफ ओपन मार्केट वैल्यू नॉट अवेलेबल, मनी इज वर्थ का वैल्यू नॉट अवेलेबल, लाइक गुड्स नॉट अवेलेबल, cost not available, then the officer, GST officer, will apply his best judgment in accordance with the provisions of the law, and the rule will then fix a value and that will become the value of the goods. So that is rule number 27. Now let's see a question on rule number 27. This is an exam question and let's see if you can choose the right option. Now they are asking what is the value of supply when a mobile phone is sold by Micromax to Anil Kumar for rupees 35,000. So Anil Kumar is giving 35,000 in exchange with of his old mobile phone. So he is giving this plus an old phone in exchange to receive a new phone. So Micromax is going to give him a new phone and the consideration is giving is rupees 35,000 and his old phone. The sale price of the new mobile phone, okay, they have already given you the sale price of this new mobile phone without the exchange is 40,000. So I can say that this is actually the open market value of the goods. And as per rule 27 we had seen that if the open market value is there, we have to take that directly without finding anything else. They've still given you that the value of the old phone, okay, the old phone which was so exchanged was rupees 7,000. So iska 7,000 hai. But we know that we have to go directly with the open market value. So can you tell me from these 4 options what is the value of the goods, value of the new mobile phone? So as per rule 27 they say just take the open market value and finish it off if it's available. So the answer is 40,000. You don't have to go and find anything else. If the open market value was not available, then you would have said 35,000 plus money's worth of this extra, that is 7,000, 35 plus 7. That would be the answer if the open market value was not available. Since it is available, the answer is 40,000 rupees. A fairly simple December 2019 question. Now let's go to rule number 28. Now rule number 28 talks about finding the value of supply when the parties are related and other than through an agent. So we are seeing when the transaction is between two people, distinct person or related persons. Related persons definition is given in section 15 explanation, which I have also covered later part of the video. And also let's understand what is a distinct person. What do you mean by the term distinct person? Now let's say if we have ITC, okay, ITC Limited. It has its presence in Maharashtra. It has one unit in Maharashtra as well as another one in Gujarat. So there is unit 1 of ITC, okay, and here you have unit 2, okay. Now, can you tell me how many registrations has to be done under GST? So the rule is that how many ever states you are present, that many GST registrations you need to do. So here you will get a GSTN number for Maharashtra, where you will have to get yourself registered in Maharashtra, and also you will have to get registered in Gujarat. So you will have a different GSTN number for Gujarat. Okay. So a transaction between these two, that is ITC Maharashtra and ITC Gujarat, is considered to be a transaction among distinct persons. So distinct persons are persons who will have the same PAN. So they have only one PAN. ITC will have only one PAN card, but they will have on one PAN they can have multiple number of GSTN numbers. That why you need to get registered is a later part of the topic, which we'll see in the registrations topic, where it is given in your section 25. Till now you just have understood that how many states I am present, that many states I need to get a GST number. So each such unit will be called as a distinct person. Why distinct? Because they have the same PAN but different GSTN numbers. Okay, so now don't have to get into the details of distinct person. It will come in the later part in section 25 when we do it. Right now you understood what is distinct persons. So McDonald Maharashtra unit and McDonald Rajasthan unit will also be considered to be a distinct person. And related persons could be by way of principal agent, or you could have family members. The detailed definition is going to be discussed a little later part of this video. Now let's see what is the value of supply under rule number 28 when the transaction is between distinct persons or related persons other than agent. For other than agent you have, for agents you have rule number 29. So this rule is for persons other than agents. So let's see what is the rule. Very simple. Firstly, they say take the open market value. Wherever open market value is there, blindly you have to take that to be the value of goods. You don't have to do anything else. When the open market value is not available, then you will go and find out what is the value of similar goods which are like in characteristics, in features, in so similar goods basically. You'll go and select those if the open market value is not available. If you cannot find similar goods also, then you go as per rule number 30, which tells that take 110% of the cost of the goods to be the value of goods. So जो भी cost होगा, cost का 110% is deemed to be the value of goods. And if still that also cannot be taken, then we will take the residual value, the best judgment assessment. That is, the officer will get a right to apply his own mind, his best judgment, and determine the value according to what he feels, which is in accordance with the rules in the Act and the basic principles of the GST Act. Okay, so if we summarize, there are only 3 points here. The first one, rule number 28, transactions when it is between distinct persons and related persons other than agents. Then you take the open market value if it is available. If it is not available, then you will take the value of similar goods. If similar goods are not available, then you go as per cost method, where you take 110% of cost. If that is not there, then rule number 31 will apply, which talks about residual method where the officer will apply his best judgment, because there's nothing else can be done. You have to leave it to the best judgment of the officer to determine the value. So super simple. Now, very important, there are two important provisos. You need to know rule number 28, which was 3 points, open market value, like goods, and 30 and 31. There are two important provisos. So rule number 28, proviso number 1, and also they have given you your proviso number 2. So let's see proviso number 1, really simple. Let's read it out. The goods supplied as such by the recipient. Option to take 90% of the price charged by the recipient from his unrelated customers as the value. So let's understand this very nicely. If intended to be further supplied by the recipient, supplier gets an option. Where the goods are intended for further supply by the recipient, तो मैंने recipient को दिया, I give it to the recipient is further going to sell it, so he is a reseller maybe. The value shall, at the option of the supplier, so the supplier will get an option. He can take 90% of the price charged for the supply by the recipient to his customer. So what the recipient is going to charge to his customers, uska 90% I can deem that is the value of the goods. Now this is what I have read it out. Now let me explain it to you where you will understand it very well. It needs to be understood perfectly well because in the other rules also similar things are used. So let's simply understand. There is a supplier, he supplied goods to the recipient. This recipient is not going to use it himself, he is going to further supply it to the ultimate customers. Now, the supplier has an option. Either, what was the first rule number 28? Rule 28 में क्या बोला था? सबसे पहले क्या लेना चाहिए? We have to take the open market value. So, if the open market value is given, he can take that. Or he gets an option as per rule number 28 proviso 1 to take 90% of the price charged by the recipient from his unrelated customers. So if this guy, the recipient, is selling to his customers for 1 lakh rupees, the supplier can say, देखो भाई मैं इसका 90% ले रहा हूँ. For me, I can take the value of the goods as 90%. So the supplier can say that my recipient is selling the goods or similar goods at 1 lakh rupees. I am taking 90% of that 1 lakh as per rule number 28 proviso 1. So at the option given to the supplier, the value of the goods can be taken as 90,000. Super simple. So supplier will now decide. Obviously he will choose whichever is less as the value of supply. So what does this say? Now let's read it again. Where the goods are intended for further supply by the recipient, the recipient further sell कर रहा है, the value of the value shall at the option of the supplier be equivalent to 90% of the price charged by the recipient to his customers. So the value is 90% of the price charged by the recipient to his customers. Super simple rule, nothing difficult at all. Recipient देखेंगे कितने में बेच रहा है, उसका 90% ले लेने का, वो हमारा supplier will say कि ये उसके point of view से value of supply है. Next, proviso number 2. Proviso number 2 talks about what is a deemed open market value. Deemed open market value मतलब open market value ढूंढना था हमें, तो ये यहाँ पे बता रहे कि ये डीम हो जाएगा, डिक्लेयर हो जाएगा, अज्यूम हो जाएगा कि यही ओपन मार्केट वैल्यू है. सो लेट्स सी, इफ द रेसिपिएंट इज एलिजिबल फॉर फुल ITC इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट, द वैल्यू डिक्लेयर्ड इन द इनवॉइस शैल बी डीम्ड टू बी द ओपन मार्केट वैल्यू ऑफ द गुड्स. अब समझते हैं ये इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट which will be your next section, section 16 onwards, will be about ITC. Section 16 gives you a certain conditions when ITC can be claimed. अगर recipient is eligible for full ITC, अगर recipient ने सारे conditions fulfill किए, is fulfilling all the conditions and is eligible to get ITC, that means he must have complied with all the rules and the conditions provided. If he is doing that, means he's a good guy and he's taking ITC, then we are allowing him that the value declared in the invoice, is deemed to be the open market value. Okay? So let's understand it with the help of an example. Now there is a supplier ABC Limited. He is supplying the goods to the recipient XYZ. अभी इसने कितने में बेचा? He sold the goods for rupees 50,000. Invoice price कितना है? Invoice price is 15,000. So this guy is giving him 15,000. He sold it for 15,000. They might be related party or might be distinct parties. The recipient, let's say, is eligible for full ITC, considering that they have fulfilled the conditions for ITC, and they claim on 15,000 only. They claim the benefits of tax on 15,000 only. Then it will be deemed that the value of these goods will be deemed to be 15,000, even if the open market value of the goods are given as 20,000. समझ में आया? So obviously जो भी price कम होगा, the supplier will try to choose a lower value, because if lower value, lower GST payable आएगा उसको, so he will select that. So even if the open market value is given, but as per rule number 28, proviso number 2, it states that if the recipient is eligible for full ITC, then the value declared in the invoice is deemed to be the open market value, proviso number 2. I hope that is clear. Now, rule number 28 के थोड़े examples and situational problems देखते हैं, and I want you to try and tell me what the answer will be. GG Limited supplied printers from its establishment located in Maharashtra to its manufacturing unit in Rajasthan. तो ये GG Limited, उसका एक establishment महाराष्ट्र में है और दूसरा establishment राजस्थान में है. तो कहना है ये दोनों ही distinct persons होंगे. So as per section 25 subsection 4, it says that these will be distinct persons where they have the same PAN card but different GSTN numbers. So GG Limited will have one PAN card, but दोनों units के, since they are in different states, will have different GSTN numbers. अब ये लोग के बीच में सप्लाई हुआ है कितने रुपए का? At the rate 10,000 per unit. They supplied printers at this rate. GGG Limited supplied such printers during the same period to independent recipients at the rate 14,160. तो अपने डिस्टिंक्ट पर्सन को वो 10,000 में दे रहा है, अपने ही रिलेटेड पर्सन को 10,000 में दे रहा है, और इंडिपेंडेंट लोगों को 14,000 में दे रहा है. तो कहना है इसे दिस इज द ओपन मार्केट वैल्यू. ये ओपन मार्केट वैल्यू है. अब आगे बढ़ते हैं. दिस अमाउंट इंक्लूड्स CGST. सो दिस इज द इनवॉइस वैल्यू. इट इंक्लूड्स GST. Determine the value of supply in accordance with the CGST rules and the rules made thereof. So very first thing, rule number 28 बोलता है कि go as per open market value. So we will go as per open market value and we will see. So the open market value of the goods कितना है? The open market value is 14,160. This includes GST at the rate of how much? At the rate of 18%. So we need to remove, because open market value is the price excluding GST. This amount excludes GST. So we need to find out, if you read the definition of open market value, it says that it shouldn't include the tax component. Value चाहिए हम लोग को. तो value कैसे ढूंढेंगे हम लोग? अब इसके calculation methods होते हैं. So if I say 100 at the rate 18% grows on to become 118. So this is the value. GST rate इतना है और यहाँ पे amount inclusive of GST. So this is the amount inclusive of GST is how much? 118. So this amount includes, so I can write it here, 14,160. I want to find out what is the value. This will be ऐसा cross multiply करेंगे. So 14,160 into 100 divided by 118. You will get your answer. Okay. So this is kind of a reverse calculation that you need to do. Another way of looking at it, there are multiple methods. It's a really simple thing. So you will say value plus GST gives me the invoice value, right? Which includes the GST. Here I know this is 14,160. 14,160. I want to go in reverse manner and find out कि कितना होता है. तो ये अगर 100 है, इसके ऊपर 18% GST लगता है, तो ये 118 होगा. Then you do your cross multiplications and you will come to this reverse calculation. Super simple. The formula basically is simple. They call it like this to get it. So once you do that, you will get the value of supply. So once you less it out, you will come to know that the value is, the open market value of the goods is 12,000 rupees. So 12,000 plus 18%, you will come to know is 14,160. Simple question. अब distinct persons क्या था? Simple सा था. Distinct person is defined under section 25 subsection 4 and 5, which says that if a company which has one PAN card has 2 units in different states, each unit has to be registered. So they will both have different GSTN numbers, but they are related. They will be given a special term called as distinct persons. So कभी कभार हेड ऑफिस महाराष्ट्र में होती है और राजस्थान में ब्रांच ऑफिस है, तो ये लोग के बीच में जो भी ट्रांजैक्शन होगा, वी विल से इट इज अ ट्रांजैक्शन बिटवीन डिस्टिंक्ट पर्सन्स. ऑटोमेटिकली क्लिक हो जाना चाहिए कि इनका पैन सेम है, पैन इज सेम, मतलब सेम कंपनी के different units होंगे different states में, but the GSTN numbers will be different because how many ever states you are there, that many registrations you need. Now simple section 25 subsection 4 and 5 पढ़ोगे तो उसमें लिखा है कि a person who has obtained more than one registration under GST, because that company would have more than one registration in one state or more than one state, each such registration shall be treated as a distinct persons. Okay, so then you can have a unit, one company, ITC Limited. It can have a unit in Delhi, it can have a unit in Maharashtra. So they will have the same PAN but different GSTN numbers. Now sometimes it is possible you are in Maharashtra and in Maharashtra only you want 2 GSTN numbers for the same business unit. So maybe McDonald's is there. McDonald's would want one GSTN number for Mumbai and another GSTN number for Pune. It is possible. Now why, in what circumstances, we will see when we do section 25. Right now you understood, same PAN, different GSTN numbers, each such unit will be considered to be distinct persons. Now if I come, who are related persons? Very, very important definition. Now related persons is defined under section 15. Explanation to section 15 defines what is related persons. It says that the following persons are deemed to be related. So the following persons are deemed to be related persons. How many categories have they given? A total of 8 categories they have given who are deemed to be related. Then they also go on to say that the person also includes legal person, not necessarily natural persons could be related. Obviously, persons of the same family members will be related, but even holding subsidiary can also be considered to be a related person. So it includes not only natural persons but also artificial persons can be considered to be related with each other, where two companies are considered to be related. A person who is associated in the business of another in that one sole agent whosoever shall also be deemed to be related. So a company and its sole selling agent, sole buying agents are also considered to be related. Now let's see this 8 categories properly in detail. I'll be taking each category and explaining you in detail. First, very first point दिया है. The explanation to section 15 says that there are 8 categories of persons who are deemed to be related. Firstly, such persons are officers or directors of one another's business. I am a director in your company and you are a director of my company. So we both will be deemed to be related. Let's take an example. Business of Mr. A and this is business of Mr. B. Business of Mr. A में B is a director or the officer. And business of B के अंदर A is a director. So कहीं ना कहीं क्रॉस टाइप ऑफ रिलेशनशिप हो रहा है. मेरी कंपनी में तुम डायरेक्टर और तुम्हारी कंपनी में मैं डायरेक्टर. तो वी विल बी डीम्ड, मिस्टर ए एंड मिस्टर बी, ओके, विल बी डीम्ड टू बी रिलेटेड पर्सन्स. Second, such persons are legally recognized as partners of the business. Common sense है, how many partners are there? They are deemed to be related with each other. So a partnership firm and the partners with each one are considered to be related. So I can say partnership firm ABC is there and partner A, partner B, partner C, all are considered to be related with each other. A person who is an employer and employee, simple, an employer and employee are also considered to be deemed to be related persons. Next, if we see, very important point, they can ask you 25%. Now let's understand what is this. A person directly or indirectly owns, controls or holds 25% or more outstanding shares or stocks of both of them. Means any person, so let's say we are taking this person is there, this person controls 25%, so he holds 25% of entity A and also 25% of entity B. So entity A and entity B are also deemed to be related persons because they have a common controller. In simple words, I can write it as a common controller. And how do you determine control? Holds 25% of stocks or shares. Let's go to the next one. One of them directly or indirectly controls the other. So let's say Mr. A controls Mr. B. So we will say that they are related persons. Next, point number 6. Both of them directly or indirectly are controlled by a third person. अब यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है? Let's understand. Both of them are directly or indirectly controlled by a third person. Now sometimes we are not talking about 25%. 25% ना भी हो, but अगर 6th के अंदर आ गए तो इसमें परसेंटेज दिया है 25% XYZ, no criteria at all. Anyway, now what is control? How do you control is a different aspect. But if you control, generally control has been understood by voting rights, where we have seen above. But other than that also there can be agreements. There can be other things where I'm appointing the majority directors, etc. There could be multiple scenarios. But if it is found out that this guy controls entity A and entity B, so again common controller, जैसे ऊपर था, without any percentage holding, still they are considered to be related with each other. Next, if we see point number 7, together they directly control a third person. पहले क्या था? Common controller. Now they both are commonly controlling someone else. So entity A also controls this one, entity B also controls this one. So since they are having a common controlled person, so here you have a common controlled person. Okay? Then these entity A and entity B will be considered to be related. What was the different with earlier? Earlier में this guy was controlling both the entities. अब उल्टा ये दोनों entities इसको control कर रहे हैं. Common controlling party है. Common controlling party. Where the entities are controlling that third person. Earlier it was the third person controlling each entity. Now the entities are controlling a single person. In such cases also entity A and entity B will be considered to be related persons. Let's see point number 8. They are members of the same family. Common sense. Mr. A and Mr. B, if they are family members, they are deemed to be related with each other. So these are the 8 points all you need to know properly, especially the 25% point. Okay. So this is a small little thing that I have made. It was, the notes are provided, and in that it just covers all these people. The 8 categories of people who are deemed to be related. Now, एक scenario था, एक particular case law with related to this topic, where they had a advance ruling given regarding rule number 28 by GKB Lens Limited. Advance ruling क्या होता है? Sometimes there is a AAR, Authority of Advance Ruling, which provides you a certain clarifications on certain issues. So it is an authority under GST laws which gives you clarifications on certain topics. So facts in hand, so a clarification was sought in this case, and they provided their ruling or their decision. So let's see what was the scenario, what was the question, and what was the ultimate ruling. Now applicant, मतलब ये advance ruling किसने seek किया, किसने clarification seek किया? AKB Lens is an importer, and after importing they sell optical lenses and frames for spectacles. So certain specs में deal करते हैं ये लोग, and accessories etc. having its head office in West Bengal. These goods are transferred to the transferred in the other states. Applicants wishes to understand the valuation for the purpose of charging GST on such transfer of goods. Now applicant, now क्या question पूछा है, and I want you to try. Applicant wishes to obtain an advance ruling, that is a ruling means a decision, and in advance means beforehand, before doing these transactions they want to ask what is the GST implications on this particular transaction. Obtain advance ruling as to whether such supplies of goods can be valued in terms of the second proviso. That is, value declared in the invoice, can we take that instead of taking 90% of the price charged by the recipient from its customers as per the first proviso. तो उनको पूछना है कि यार deemed open market value, remember था deemed open market value. So second proviso था, first proviso क्या था of rule number 28 कि यार 90% ले लो, 90% of the price charged by recipient to its customers. Okay, 90% of the price charged by its recipient from its customers. कर सकते हैं, एक ये क्वेश्चन है उनका, तो आंसर है कर सकते कि नहीं. Obviously you've read the rule, you read it in detail, you come to know that there is no restriction that you have to apply it in order. So the deemed open market value can be taken into consideration. A plain reading of the provision of the rules can be derived, and the logic or the rule can be derived by reading it. Second question उन लोग ने पूछा, further whether such application is applicable on non-trading stock such as printing, stationery, ऑफिस इक्विपमेंट. अब हम लोग बोल रहे आपका काम क्या था, स्पेक्स बेचने का. स्पेक्स के अंदर हम लोग सोचे थे वैल्यूएशन का कुछ इशू आएगा तो आपके लिए ये है. बट नाउ दे आर सेइंग नॉन ट्रेडिंग स्टॉक में भी डील कर रहे हैं, उसमें भी ये सब अप्लाई कर सकते हैं क्या. हम लोग स्पेक्स का धंधा कर रहे हैं बट हम लोग प्रिंटर्स भी प्रोवाइड कर रहे हैं, प्रिंटर्स भी इंपोर्ट कर रहे हैं. कोई स्पेक्स खरीदने आएगा तो प्रिंट करके देंगे हम लोग उनका इनवॉइसेस, तो क्या वो भी कर सकते हैं. नॉन ट्रेडिंग स्टॉक है, उस प्रिंटर बेचने के लिए नहीं. क्या उसके लिए भी ओपन मार्केट वैल्यू उठा सकते हैं हम लोग. व्हाट डू यू थिंक. Now, as a lawyer or an advocate, it's an interpretation issue. You have to understand. Just go back to your rule. In the rule, did you see any order कि इस order में apply करना है proviso 2, proviso 1? No. So that means you can apply it the way you want. First answer. Second, did you see a bifurcation between trading stock के लिए ये rule है, non trading के लिए है, कि trading के लिए ही ये provisos apply हो रहे हैं, trading stock या main goods के लिए? Answer is no. As long as they are used in business and for furtherance of business, you can take those goods. Okay, there was no bifurcation given. So second proviso can be applied disregarding the first rule. That is the first ruling or judgment given. Second, अब जो section 16 to 21 है, it talks about the ITC, input tax credit, full ITC. Is eligible implies that section 16 to 21 needs to be complied with. So in order to get the credits and everything, you have to comply with the ITC rules, which will come in the later part. They should have a valid invoice. These are the conditions given. Okay. And it should be used for business purpose only. Then in such case, you can do it. But if some of the elements are used, let's say some of the goods have been taken, which are non-trading stock, ठीक है, वो बिजनेस पर्पस के लिए थे ही नहीं. एक होता है बिजनेस के लिए और होता है नॉन बिजनेस. सो इफ द गुड्स वर यूज्ड इन बिजनेस पर्पस, देन एंटायरली इट इज अलाउड. ITC is available. You can take the credit and you can go ahead with that. For non-business, for example, you supplied it for personal use, non for business anywhere. In that case, credit or ITC is not available. That bifurcation needs to be done. So simple सा दोनों रूल्स का क्या आंसर है. नॉन ट्रेडिंग स्टॉक का कोई बाइफिकेशन नहीं है, आपको डरने की जरूरत नहीं, आप ले सकते हो as long as you use it in business purpose. So this is nowhere given, but just I have added it since the advance ruling was taken on it. Now let's start with rule number 29, which talks about value of goods. Value of goods when it is sold through an agent. What is the value of goods? Firstly, it's a super simple rule. Value of supplies between principal and agent shall be the open market value. Every single rule, sub rule you read, the first they say open market value है, don't need to go anywhere else, just apply that open market value. But इसमें एक ऑप्शन मिल रहा है. इन एजेंट के रिलेटेड सप्लायर को ऑप्शन मिल रहा है, सेम ऑप्शन. At the option of the supplier, the value of the goods can be 90% of the price charged by the recipient to his customers. So अगर मैंने सप्लायर ने उसके एजेंट को दिया, so either I can take the open market value or I can take 90% of the price charged by the agent to his customers. That will be the deemed value between the supplier and the agent. Okay, so it's very simple. So the supplier will obviously choose whichever value is less, because less value means less GST payable. Common sense. If this could not be applied, then you will go as per rule number 30, which is a cost rule. Find out the cost of the goods and 110% of the cost is deemed to be the value. And rule number 31, if nothing can be applied, then rule number 31 says that the officer will apply his best judgment and then provide the value of the goods. Now इसका example देखते हैं क्या सीन था. प्रिंसिपल एजेंट के बीच में ट्रांजैक्शन होगा. ओपन मार्केट वैल्यू 4,550 and agent is selling to his customers for 5,000 rupees. Can you tell me what is the value of supply between द प्रिंसिपल एंड द एजेंट, यहाँ पे वैल्यू क्या है गुड्स का? कैन यू टेल मी एज पर द रूल? So two things are there. You either take the supplier as an option. Either he goes for the open market value, which is 4,550, or he can choose to take 90% of this figure, 90% of the price charged by the agent to his customer. So what is 90% of this? It's 4,500. So if you were the principal, which price will you take? Will you take 4,550 and pay a little more GST to the government? Are you that loving towards the government and so big hearted? Answer is no. Anyone will go and take 4,500, whichever is the lower of the two. This you will take as the value of supply. So wherever it suits you, you can go ahead with that. Government has given you that kind of benefit. So in short, if I tell you rule number 29 says that go as per open market value, but if you don't want open market value, take 90% of the price charged by the recipient from his customers. Go as per the cost method. Cost method says अगर ये नहीं apply हो सकता rule number 1, the first sub rule, then go as per 110% of cost is deemed to be the market value, which we will come when we do rule number 30. अगर वो भी नहीं हो सकता, then go as per rule number 31, residuary method, where the officer will get an option on basis of his best understanding to choose a reasonable value of the goods, and that will become the value of the goods. Moving forward to rule number 30. Every single sub rule में आ रहा था rule number 30 और 31. अब क्या है ये rule number 30 समझते हैं. Generally ये दोनों ही rules, rule number 30 and 31 लास्ट में आते हैं. पहले open market value, similar goods, thousands of other things are given. If that cannot be applied, then rule number 30 or rule number 31. Now what does it say? It says find out the cost of the goods. Cost of the goods ढूंढो, या तुमने कितने में acquire किया, cost of your purchase, that will be the cost to you, or if it is services, cost of the provision of the service. तो आप ढूंढो कि आपको कितना खर्चा हुआ है, what is the cost of the goods. So whatever you say is the cost, we will say as a notional profit कि यार अगर value of the goods कैसे होता है, आप कितने में बेचते हैं, सेलिंग प्राइस हम लोग करते हैं, रिमेंबर. सेल प्राइस कैसे डिटरमाइन करते हैं? कॉस्ट प्लस प्रॉफिट, राइट और रॉन्ग? जब भी हम लोग बेचते हैं तो कॉस्ट भी होता है. तो अगर कॉस्ट 100 है तो प्रॉफिट मार्जिन हम लोग डीम कर देते हैं कि भाई इट इज 10%. So it is deemed that the selling price is 110% of cost. समझ में आया? So what is the value of the goods that the selling price of the purchaser is deemed to be 110% of cost, where 10% is assumed to be his notional profit. Simple. So you take 110% of cost. So if I tell you 5 लाख की goods, 5 लाख का cost है मेरे लिए, can you find out what is the value of the goods as per rule number 30? तो इसका 110% you will take, and जो भी आया that will be your value of the goods. Simple. Now coming to rule number, so this all has to be applied in order. पहले rule number 30, फिर rule number 31. Rule number 31 क्या बोल रहा है कि residual method, nothing could be applied. Then they are saying the residue. Then what do you do if nothing can be applied? So very simple. A reasonable method will be used. The officer will apply his best judgment and then determine as per section 15, as per the rules, everything. Now, एक important इसका point दिया है that supplier of service may opt for this rule, ignoring rule number 30. तो नॉर्मली क्या होता है, रूल नंबर 30 नहीं पहले अप्लाई करना पड़ता है. अगर रूल नंबर 30 नहीं हुआ देन यू हैव टू गो फॉर रूल नंबर 31. सो फर्स्ट दिस and then if that also doesn't work, then you go to rule number 31. However, for service providers के लिए cost ढूंढना बहुत difficult है. For example, I'm teaching you, how do I find the cost of the goods, cost of my service? It's difficult because intellectual aspect differs. If I'm teaching a school child or I'm teaching a CS professional, obviously the time, everything differs. So to find cost of services sometimes gets a little difficult. So service providers can directly say, let me not go as per the cost method and let the officer only decide a reasonable value. So we can opt directly for 31 and say that we don't want to opt for 30. This is an option given only to service providers. So service providers can opt for rule number 31, ignoring rule number 30. Now everywhere we were doing what do you mean by the open market value, open market value. Common sense है market में जो price चल रहा है. But since we are finding the value of the goods, it will exclude the taxes. The GST जो भी है उसको exclude करके ही value बनेगा. So open market value of goods means the full money value excluding the taxes. When the supplier and the recipient are not related and price is the sole consideration, that is the open market value. Then we came to the next thing. What do you mean by, in the first rule also that was there, supply of like, kind and quality. Simply meaning similar goods. Now how do you define similar? Similar means they are similar in terms of quality, quantity, purity, functionality, materials, reputation, interchangeable by the consumers, in the minds of the consumers, where they feel that it's quite similar. If substitutes, if ये नहीं होगा तो वो ले लेंगे हम लोग. So अगर Pepsi नहीं है तो Coke provide कर देता है, तो that can be considered to be similar goods. And that is it. In the next part we'll be doing the summary of all these rules.